Hello everyone, my name is Prashant and today I'm going to talk about Linux, a little bit introduction to Linux kernel. So these are topics which I'm going to cover, like what are the typical component of a kernel, difference between a user space and a kernel space, and two main distinction of a kernel called a microkernel versus a monolithic kernel. So what before we go into a typical component of a kernel, what is exactly a kernel? So like we have two parts. One is called the user interface, which is the outermost part, or let's say whatever the user application which is running on the system. That is the outermost part. For example, your bash shell. And the innermost part is refers to the kernel, which is the core internal. It is the software that provides the basic services to all part of the system, and it is used to manage your hardware as well as it works as a distribution of resources. So generally, kernel has four important components. One is called interrupt handler, which is used to service your interrupt requests. Second one is called scheduler, which is used to share time among the multiple processes which are running on your system. Memory management, to manage the memory address space, that is the distribution of memory address to different process. And system services like the inter-process communication process or your networking component. So this is how it looks. So the application which runs on your user space, and then we have a kernel space which is comprised of your system call, your kernel subsystem, system call interface, device driver. This together constitute of your kernel space, and then it has a direct interaction with your hardware. So application cannot make a direct call to the kernel. To make a call to the kernel, it need to interact with something called a system call. So if the application which is running on your system need to communicate with the kernel, it will only be communicate with the help of a system call. So what application will do, it will typically calls a function in the library. So let's say we have a C library that in turn rely on the system call interface to instruct the kernel to carry out the task on the behalf of the application. So generally we have a most important package in our system after the important kernel package called the glibc, which is used to provide all these interface. So when an application executes a system call, we say that kernel is executing on the behalf of an application, or the kernel running in something called a process context. Like I said earlier, kernel also used to manage your hardware with the help of something called interrupt. So whenever any of the piece of your hardware want to communicate with the kernel, it issues an interrupt and literally interrupt your processor, which in turn interrupt your kernel. And to handling all these type of interrupt, we have something called a spatial context called the interrupt context, which has not been associated to any kind of a process. And this is something called a hard interrupt, which is like kernel need to be processed immediately whenever this kind of interrupt occurs. So in Linux, we generalize each processor is doing one of the three things at a given moment, and even a kernel cases will fit into these three cases. So if a user space executing a user code is a process, a kernel space which is executing a process or on the behalf of a specific process called a process context, and the last but not the least, the kernel space in the interrupt context, which is not associated with any process handling an interrupt. So this is a special context called the interrupt context. Generally a kernel will be divided into two categories called a microkernel as well as a monolithic kernel. So let's first discuss about what is a microkernel. The microkernel, like the earlier version of NT and some of the version which is used a microkernel, and except for the micro and monolithic kernel, we have a special kernel called a exokernel, which has primarily been used for research purpose. So a single process means it is not implemented as single large binary like we have in a case of monolithic kernel. So the entire functionality of this microkernel is divided into pieces called servers, and server which is requiring these kind of a capabilities run in something called a privilege mode, and means there are some specific server they have chosen which is run on this privilege mode, and the rest of the application runs the user mode. And when these need to communicate, means when this user mode need to communicate with this privilege mode or to this server, or these server want to communicate with each other, they will communicate with the help of message passing or something called IPC or called inter-process communication. So the major advantage for this kind of architecture is like it prevents failure of one single one server bringing down the entire system. While the major disadvantage is like the performance overhead, or like a huge performance hit, because all this message passing and the IPC communication called a huge overhead. And some when the process switch between the kernel space to user space, it causes a huge amount of latency, which is not been found in the case of a macro kernel, monolithic kernel. Now, a monolithic kernel which has been implemented as a one single binary, and it borrows most of its features from a microkernel. And typically, it exists on a disk on a single binary and run as a single big process chunk. And the major advantage of use means all our Linux is Linux is a monolithic kernel, and it follows most of its features from a microkernel, which is like a modular design. That is, means modules can be added on the fly and remove and add on the fly, and the kernel process can be preempted, which the earlier version of Unix doesn't have this kind of feature. And obviously, like I said, that ability to dynamically load and unlock the module. Thanks everyone for watching this video.